Hi, my friends. So we have a lot on today's agenda. So let me go ahead and share that with you before our read aloud this morning. Happy Wednesday, by the way. I had this cute little April showers bring me flowers. And so far, besides the wind, it's been pretty nice. So today, like I said, lots going on. We have our office hours at 10. And then at 11, Mr. Kirby is hosting a community movement session. So I put the information for you. This is where you click this link right here in order to get onto his community movement session. You're going to have to type in a meeting ID and a password. So that information is all right there for you. And it will be Hoover kids and Washington kids in second and third grade. So that will be a lot of fun. So join that at 3, and then we meet back again for our scheduled PM times. The schedule is here if you forget at what time you're at, and bring a marker, a darker marker, and a pen. We're going to be playing a game. So go ahead and be ready with that when I see you in the afternoon. So it is an off day for your digital journal, but for grammar, I created a really fun grammar activity for you. Once again, it's on Seesaw. I wrote an opinion paragraph, and there are a lot of errors in it. I wrote it really quickly, and when I was done, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, I made so many mistakes, how embarrassing, but I know my third grade grammar superstars can find all the errors and fix those for me. So go ahead and read the instructions on Seesaw. 30 minutes of reading, and I have an optional challenge for you. Rewrite the end of the chapter you're on, and how does that change the story? Whatever you want, use your imagination. Chapter 3 and slide 4 in Sideways Stories. Today, your final draft of your opinion writing prompt, which was the best pet. You are writing your final draft today. So like I have mentioned a bunch of times to you, your packet is on your classwork tab in your Google Classroom, and it's under your opinion final drafts. And there's a video right here that I want you to watch. It tells you exactly how to get there, exactly what it is that I'm looking for, my example, everything and more. So I want you to watch those, okay? This is your responsibility. Required video as usual for homework, or for, let's just say student practice right here in homework. You're finding something new today. You're finding the perimeter. So I want you to watch the video. And the note that I put here is when you measure an area, you know that we measure in square units, like square feet, square inches, square yards. In perimeter, you don't. You just measure in inches, feet, yards, etc. Well, in the first one, I accidentally said square, whatever unit it is that we are working with, square feet for the perimeter. And I realized it on the second problem. So I said, oh no, I made an error. So I fixed it. We all make mistakes. It's totally fine, right? But I want you to know that before you watch, okay? For social studies, you're going to read slide 6, explore the links on slide 7, and then complete by filling in slide 8. And that is the last thing I have for you. You actually don't need to do music today because we switched those days. So you have your PE with Mr. Kirby at 11. So that would be a really fun thing to join. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go ahead and read the next chapter. I told you yesterday it's called the Blood Bottler. So goodness gracious, what's going to happen? Suddenly, a tremendous thumping noise came from outside the cave entrance, and a voice like thunder shouted, "Runt! Is you there, Runts? I is hearing you jabbling. Who is you jabbling to, Runts?" Okay, first of all, let's make an inference. Remember, an inference is like a prediction. Who do you think it is that they're talking about? Can you infer who the runt is? Okay, who's talking? Because it's not the BFG. It's someone calling the BFG a runt. A runt is like the smallest. Usually you call a runt of a litter, like the smallest puppy or kitten or animal that was born. In jabbling, that probably means who are you talking to, okay? "Look out," cried the BFG. "It's the blood bottler." But before he had finished speaking, the stone was rolled aside, and a 50-foot giant, more than twice as tall and wide as the BFG, came striding into the cave. He was naked except for a dirty little piece of cloth around his bottom. Sophie was on the tabletop. The enormous, partly eating snozzcumber was lying near her. She ducked behind it. The creature came clumping into the cave and stood towering over the BFG. Who is you jabbling to in here just now, he boomed. I is jabbling to myself, the BFG answered. Fiddlefish, shouted the blood bottler. Bug swallow up, he boomed. You was talking to a human being. That is what I is thinking. No, no, cried the BFG. Yes, yes, boomed the blood bottler. I is guessing you has snitched away a human being and brought it back to your bunghole as a pet. So now I is winkling it out and guzzling it as extra snacks before my supper. Holy moly, and we thought the BFG was big. The poor BFG was very nervous. There's no one in here, he stammered. Well, why don't you leave me alone? The blood bottler pointed a finger as large as a tree trunk at the BFG. Runty little scum, he shouted, piffling little swish figgler, squiffly little bottle work, prunty little pogs whizzler. I is now going to search the primroses. I think he meant premises. He grabbed the BFG by the arm. And you is going to help me do it. Us together is going to winkle out this tasteful little human being, he shouted. The BFG had intended to lift Sophie off the table as soon as he got the chance and hide her behind his back, but now there was no hope of doing this. Sophie peered around the chewed off end of the enormous snozcumber, watching the two giants as they moved away down the cave. The blood bottler was a gruesome sight. His skin was reddish pink. There was black hair sprouting on his chest and arms on his stomach. And arms and on his stomach. The hair on his head was long and dark and tangled. His foul face was round and squashy looking. The eyes were tiny black holes. The nose was small, but the mouth was huge. It spread right across the face, almost ear to ear, and it had lips that were like two gigantic purple frankfurters lying one on top of the other. Craggly yellow teeth stuck out between the two purple frankfurter lips, and rivers of spit ran down his chin. It was not in the least difficult to believe that this ghastly brute ate men, women, and children every night. The blood bottler, still holding the BFG by the arm, was examining the rows and rows of bottles. You and your piddling bottles, he shouted. What is you putting in them? Nothing that would interest you, the BFG said. You is only interested in guzzling human beings, and you is a dotty dog swoggler, cried the blood bottler. Soon the blood bottler would be coming back, Sophie told herself, and he was bound to search the tabletop. But she couldn't possibly jump off the table. It was 12 feet high. She'd break a leg. The snozcumber, although it was as thick as a perambulator, was not going to hide her if the blood bottler picked it up. She examined the chewed-off ends. It had large seeds in the middle, each one as big as a lemon. They were embedded in soft, slimy stuff. Taking care to stay out of sight, Sophie reached forward and scooped away half a dozen of these seeds. This left a hole in the middle of the snozcumber large enough for her to crouch in so long as she rolled herself up into a ball. She crawled into it. It was as wet and slimy as a hiding place, but what did that matter if it was going to save her from being eaten? The blood bottler and the BFG were coming back toward the table now. The BFG was nearly fainting with fear. Any moment, he was telling himself, Sophie would be discovered and eaten. Suddenly, the blood bottler grabbed the half-eaten snozcumber. Uh-oh. The BFG stared at the bare table. Sophie, where is you? He thought desperately. You cannot possibly be jump-spelling off that high table. So where is you hiding, Sophie? So this is the filthy, rotsome glubbage you was eating, boomed the blood bottler, holding up the partly eaten snozcumber. You must be cockles to be guzzling such rump squash. For a moment, the blood bottler seemed to have forgotten about his search for Sophie. The BFG decided to lead him further off the track. That is the scrumdiddlyumptious snozcumber, he said. I is guzzling it gleefully every night and day. Is you ever trying to snozcumber by the blood bottler? Human beings is juicier, the blood bottler said. You is talking rommy tot, the BFG said, growing braver by the second. Uh-oh. The BFG, it looks like he's trying to persuade the blood bottler that the snozcumber is good to try to maybe get out because it tastes so bad, but we know that that's an issue because where is Sophie hiding? Inside. This could be bad. He was thinking that if only he could get, I'm right, the blood bottler to take one bite of the repulsive vegetable, the sheer foulness of its flavor would send him bellowing out of the cave. I was happy to let you sample it, the BFG went on, but please, when you see how truly clumptious it is, do not be guzzling the whole thing. Leave me a little snitcher for my supper. The blood bottler stared suspiciously with small, piggy eyes. Sophie, crouching inside the chewed-off end, began to tremble all over. You was not switch-fiddling me, is you? Never, cried the BFG passionately. Take a bite, and I'm positive you'll be shouting out, oh, how scrumdiddlyumptious the serving is. The BFG could see the greedy blood bottler's mouth beginning to water more than ever at the prospect of extra food. Vegetables is very good for you, he went on. It is not wholesome always to be eating meaty things. Just this once, the blood bottler said. I is going to taste these rotten meats of yours. But I is warning you that if that is filsome, I is smashing it over your sludgy little head. He picked up the snozcumber. He began raising it on his long journey to his mouth, some 50 feet up to the air. Sophie wanted to scream, don't, but that would have been even more certain death. Crashing among the slimy seats, she felt herself being lifted up and up and up. Suddenly, there was a crunch as the blood bottler bit a huge hunk off the end. Sophie saw his yellow teeth clamping together a few inches from her head. Then there was utter darkness. She was in his mouth. She caught a whiff of his evil-smelling breath. It stank of bad meat. She waited for the teeth to go crunch once more. She prayed that she would be killed quickly. Ew, rolled the blood bottler. Oh, each! And then he spat. And all the great lumps of snozcumber that were in his mouth, as well as Sophie herself, went shooting out across the cave. If Sophie had struck the stony wall of the cave, she would most certainly have been killed. Instead, she hit the soft folds of the BFG's back cloak hanging against the wall. She dropped to the ground, half stunned, and then crawled under the hem of the cloak. You little swine bugler, rolled the blood bottler. You little pig speller. He rushed at the BFG and smashed what was left of the snozcumber over his head. Fragments of filthy vegetables splashed all over the cave. You was not loving it? The BFG asked innocently. Loving it, yelled the blood bottler. This is the most disgustorous taste that is ever touching my teeth. You must be buggles to be swallowing sludge like that every night, and you could be galloping off happy as a hamburger and gobbling juicy human beings. Eating human beings is wrong and evil, the BFG said. It is guzzly and glumptious, shouted the blood bottler. And tonight I is galloping off to Chile to swallow a few human chili beans. Is you wishing to know why I is choosing Chile? I is not wishing to know anything. I is choosing Chile, the blood bottler said, because I is fed up with the taste of Eskimo. It is important I had plenty of cold eats in this scuttling hot weather, and the next coldest thing to an Eskimo is a chili bean. Human beings from Chile is very chilly. Horrible, the BFG said. You ought to be ashamed. Other giants is all saying they is wanting to gallop off to England tonight to guzzle school children. I wanted to show you that picture. Oh, did I get it? There we go. The blood bottler said, I is very fond indeed of English school children. There's a nice inky booky flavor. Perhaps I will change my mind and go to England with them. You is disgusting, the BFG said. And you is an insult of the giant people, shouted the blood bottler. You is not fit to be a giant. You is a squinky little squiddler. You is a pibbling little pipsqueak. You is a cream puffnet. With that, the horrible blood-bottling giant strode out of the cave. Sophie, he whispered. Sophie, where is you? I'm here, she said. The BFG picked her up and held her tenderly in the palm of his hand. Oh, I am so happy to be finding you in one lump. I was in his mouth, Sophie said. You was what? Cried the BFG. Sophie told him what happened. And there I was, telling him to eat the filsome snozcumber, and he was inside the whole time? Not much fun, Sophie said. Just look at you, you poor little childler. You was all covered in snozcumber and giant spit. He set about cleaning her up as best he could. I is hating those other giants more than ever now, he said. You know what I should like? What? Sophie said. I should like to find a way of disappearing them, every single one. I'd be glad to help, Sophie said. Let me see if I can think up any way of doing that. And that is where we will leave off today. So tomorrow, well, actually Monday, because tomorrow, Thursdays. I'm getting my days all confused. Frobscottle and Whiz Poppers is the next chapter. So who knows what we're going to get into then. All right, my friends, I will see you at 10 a.m. for our first Zoom meeting. Have a great morning. Bye, everyone.